everybody and welcome. My name is Ryan and I am the Laser Noob. So today our project, what we're going to be doing is we're going to take 3 sheets of basswood that I have painted, gray, metallic, and just flat black, and we are going to turn them into something like this. Now, I bought this file on Etsy. This is the Death Star, and it's a 3-layer, but the original file was made with pins, you know, wood pins, and you can make 3 layers and they're not laying on top of each other. But what I wanted to do is I want to take this and I want to make this a clock, okay? So what I did is I went ahead and burned this. I wanted to see how it was going to lay out and everything, but you will see how it has the little holes here for the little pegs to make it, you know, this tall instead of a mandala. So I went into the file and I deleted all those. I made some other changes, combined some layers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this file, we're gonna take those 3 pieces of basswood that I painted, and we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna cut those out, and we're gonna make a clock out of it. And that's our project for today. Now, in order to prep my basswood, when you get these basswood sheets, I get mine off Amazon, the link's down below, but when I get the basswood sheets, they're nice and smooth, okay? Now, as soon as you put a layer of paint on them, that thin basswood, it kind of wants to bubble up a little bit. It gets a little fuzzy almost. It doesn't look real bad. It kind of gives it a little rough look. And it doesn't look too bad, but what I do is usually I'll go in and I will put a layer of paint on it, and then once it dries, I'll take some 400 grit sandpaper and I'll sand all that stuff off so it's nice and smooth again. Then when I put my second layer of paint on there, everything is real smooth and I don't have that rough feeling on it. Which, like I said, it gives it some character and it doesn't look too bad, but for this one, I wanted it completely smooth. So with that, let's go ahead and hop into Lightburn. We'll get this thing laid out. We'll fire up the laser. We'll cut this thing, put it together. Let's see if we can make a clock today. So I want to do a real quick apology to you guys. Later on in the video, when I start gluing the everything together, you'll notice that the video gets a little jumpy. Apparently, while I was recording that, something was downloaded on my computer at the same time, so it caused the video to be jumpy. I apologize. Normally I would go through, I'd just re-record that, but unfortunately I've used all my basswood doing those 2, and my next order is not coming in until mid next week. So once again, I apologize, and we'll keep an eye on that in the future. Thanks, guys. With that, let's get back to the show.
All right, so here is our whole file. All right, so basically what I did is I took some of these other layers, I made different layers out of them, combined them, and then the only other thing I did was this little purple circle here in the middle. That's going to be the hole for the clock mechanism. All right, so we got to go through this just a few times. None of these really take a whole lot of time because a lot of it is just cutting. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of everything but those 2 right there. Now, the clock mechanisms that I have 2 of them. One's long and one's short. The short one is too short to go through 3 layers, and the long one's too long and would look silly. So I'm going to add, this is actually going to end up being 4 layers. So this layer right here, I am going to go ahead and burn 2. Okay. So what we're going to do is let's move over to the laser. Now I have this set up in the file that I saved, so I'm not sure if it is going to stay in there. So let's just click go to origin. And it did, so perfect. All right, so we're using user origin and top left corner. So we're going to cut 2 of these out. They're both 5 millimeters a second at 100% power. So let's go ahead and get this one cut, and then we'll cut the black one because this will be the back. That's why it's just plain. Okay, so now we've done our first layer. We've done 2 pieces for our first layer. That layer right there, the pink layer, is going to stay. That's our hole. That's going to stay on every layer we're cutting today. We're going to turn off the first layer, and then we're going to go down and we're going to select the next layer of what we want. We're going to turn that one on, output and show. Now it's going to cut out a little bit here, and it's going to cut this area out, and it's going to cut these out, and then the rest of the shape. So with that, let's move on over to the laser and we'll get this next layer cut. Okay, so I turned my Air Assist off while I'm recording audio because it's right next to my microphone and it makes a bunch of noise. So normally what I do is I turn my mic off, I turn the Air Assist back on, blah, blah, blah. But I forgot to turn it back on when I started this, as you can see. So, gotta remember to do that. Okay, so we've got the second part burned. So we got the 2 first layers. This is going to be the second, or well, the third layer technically. Now the only thing here that we're going to do is right up here is this little circle that gets cut out. We're going to go ahead and keep that little circle. So make sure that if you're burning this, if you find this file on Etsy and you're burning this, doing this project, we're going to keep this little piece that it burns out. All right. And it is smaller than the one for the clock mechanism down here. So there's a big difference. So anyway, so we've got that. Zoom out a little bit. So now what we're going to do is our third step, we're going to get rid of that one. We're going to get rid of that one. And we're going to go to 8.5. So we're going to turn 8 on, and we're going to turn 5 on. And of course, 7 stays on all the way through. So now we've got our gray piece, our dark gray piece in. We're going to cut this, and we're going to make sure that I turn on my Air Assist, and we're going to get this one done and see how it looks.
So, not only did I forget the Air Assist once, after talking about it on the very next cut, I forgot it again. So, it is what it is. I tried to clean that stuff off. It's not coming off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it outside. I'm going to repaint these 2 pieces. Then we'll go from there. We'll see how those turn out before we put everything together, get it all glued, put the clock mechanism and all that. So let me go out and repaint these because I'm an idiot, and we'll be right back.
Okay, so I have all my pieces are all cut out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start gluing this thing together. So I'm going to start with this unpainted sheet. This is my back one. So one of the things that I did that I want to show you guys is the basswood is pretty sturdy in one direction and a little bendy in the other. Okay, so when you're going with the grain, it actually has some bend to it. Okay, this way, not so much. So what I did is I burned the blank black, the back one, at a different side. So my grain's going top bottom here, and then on the colored one is it's going left right. All right, so we're gonna glue that on there. That'll give it a little bit of extra stiffness, and hopefully it will keep it from, you know, warping, anything like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my miter Appel. It's a CA50 glue. Basically, it's like super glue stuff. And all I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna need something to open it. Nope. So this stuff, the nozzle clogs up real easy, so I had to cut this way back so I could get something in there to clean it out in between uses. So I got to be real careful getting it close to the edges. So I'm just going to get a little dab, and I'm going to go all the way around. Not super close to the edge, and I don't want it to ooze out. And then right around where the clock mechanism is going to go. And then maybe a little dab here. Tiny, tiny little dabs just to keep it from pulling apart. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to line the whole thing up with the holes. And you got to be real careful, because once this stuff dries, it is dried. Ooh. I got a little off right there. That's okay. It's just a tiny, tiny little bit off. You can see a little bit of the unpainted wood over here and over here. That's all right. We can paint that, make it match. The important thing is my clock mechanism still going to fit in there? And it does. Okay. So we're good there. So now we're going to take the second layer. I'm counting these first two as just one layer. So here's our second layer. It's going to go just like this. Just like that. Okay, this is the one that I painted in metallic. All right, so let me take this. Again, I'm going to be real careful not to get too close to the edge. Now, you see that piece kind of broke off there, so I'm going to have to hold on to that. I'm going to have to glue that. It was very flimsy right there. I'm going to go all the way around this. That's a cutout. Get some around the hole for the clock mechanism. Again, not getting super close to the edge, because it will squeeze out. Put a little here, here, here. And now that's actually right exactly where I wanted that. So I got that little tiny piece right here. It broke off. So what I'm going to do is, like, that's why I keep this little guy around for. little shish kebab guy here, little shish kebab stick. I'm gonna get a little glue on that. And I'm gonna go right here on that unpainted side. And then we're going to get that stuck back on there. All right. So we got that all back on. Now, the third and final layer has actually 3 sections. So we've got this section here, this section here, and then our top section. So our top section is going to line up just like that. Then this section is going to go right about there. And this bottom one, the angle of the curve right here doesn't exactly match this one, and that's the file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in like this somewhere. I think right about there looks okay. I'm seeing a little bit of the silver on the bottom, but I'm matched up over on this side, about the same distance away from the edge of the silver piece on this side. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go ahead and we'll get that one glued on. Again, not super close to the edge. Now what I can do is I can take that little shish kebab stick and I can actually, some of these bigger goops, is get some of that stuff a little closer to the edges. I don't want a ton because, like I said, I don't want it to goop out. Once I put it on there, it'll squeeze out and you'll be able to see it. Get a little bit right there. And a little bit right there. And that's pretty good right there. So now, take that guy. Right there. Okay, now if we want, take a couple of these tiles and hold that guy on with some tiles. All right. So now we'll take our top piece. Now there's a reason I'm doing the top piece. You know, if I move that out of the way to make sure I'm getting this all lined up, I may end up being out of alignment for this top hole or for the clock hole, and then I'm not looking how it's supposed to look with that little gap in between. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to move this piece. I'm going to glue this top piece down. And then we'll glue that middle piece and be done with the gluing. Tiny little drop. That's a lot. Let's grab our stick. I got a lot there too. All right. Now, get that lined up with our hole for our clock mechanism. Right there. Couple more tiles just to be on the safe side. And then we get to glue our last piece in. Tiny drop. This actually kind of comes in handy because you can spread it around, get a nice thin layer where it's not gooping. You can get it up close to these little tiny areas. I just really don't want this to squeeze out of here. And that's pretty good right there. So now I'm going to line this guy up pretty much wherever I want, to be honest with you. I mean, I can make that opening as wide or as narrow as I want, but I kind of like that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get it down there. And I can get a couple more tiles. Put a couple tiles there. A couple tiles there. And my couple tiles back down here. Now I'm just going to wait for like 5 minutes, make sure all that glue is completely dry. And then we'll be ready. You know, we're going to throw a clear coat on the whole thing. And then we're going to put in our clock mechanism. And we're going to put a battery in it and check it out and see how it looks. All right, so we're all painted. The very last thing we're going to do is put our clock mechanism on. So the first thing I'll do, while the paint was still a little bit wet, I went ahead and I put the washer on right here. That washer's stuck there now. It's all good. So now all we got to do is we're going to take our clock mechanism. Okay, so this is the battery is on the bottom. So this will be the top. Okay, battery bottom. We're going to take our little clip, and our little clip is going to slide right over. You can't hardly see it, but there is a little ring right there. So if I put this on, it sets, that little plastic ring sets inside the metal. Okay, so it doesn't slide. Now I'm going to take my little rubber gasket, and I'm going to put that right on top of there. Now, looking down in the hole, I'm going to line that up. And now my clock mechanism is stuck through. I will take the nut. I'm going to put the nut on there. Get it started. And then if you have one, great. If not, a pair of pliers will work. But I have, you know, just a tiny little crescent wrench. And I'm just going to tighten this thing up. Trying not to scratch the paint around it. And that's nice and snug right there. So now what I want to do is, this obviously is going to hang where the 12 is. And I want this thing to hang at an angle kind of this way. So I want 12 o'clock to be up here. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to turn that a little bit. So now there's my 12 o'clock position. And that's going to be just about right. Now we'll take our hour hand, and it goes on there. And again, you can take that crescent wrench or your pliers and push down on it a little bit. Now what I do is I will hold on to this little wheel, because as you spin it, that wheel spins. So if you hold on to that wheel, keep it from spinning, you can kind of twist this thing down and get it set in place. So there's our 12 o'clock. And I'm just going to kind of push it down a little bit more. Make sure it's fully set down on there. Then we're going to take our minute hand. A minute hand goes over that. Just like that. And then our second hand pushes on there just like that. So now we've got all our hands on there. We're pretty close to the 12 o'clock position where I want it to. We'll take our battery. And there's our clock.
Okay, so we're all done. All right, we got everything painted, cut, and then I put a clear coat of lacquer on the top of everything to give it a nice shiny sheen to everything. So you guys know the paint that I used on the base layer is just Rust-Oleum 2X flat black primer. Okay. The second layer, what I did is I took white, or you can take black even, and put a base layer coat down on the wood, sand that, and then the top coat on that second layer, I used Rust-Oleum metallic. Now the reason I put that base layer on there is this is a little bit more expensive than just using the flat black, okay? So I put a layer of that on. After it pops up a little bit, I sand that, it's all nice and smooth. One coat, one nice coat of the Rust-Oleum metallic covers that up real good. Otherwise, I'm using 2 coats of that. And like I said, it's more expensive. Then the very top layer, I put, the satin granite, Rust-Oleum 2X satin granite. Again, all this stuff can be found at Home Depot or Walmart. You can get it everywhere. And then the very last thing I did after everything was all cut out, all glued together how I wanted it, before I put the clock mechanism on, is I put 2 top coats of Rust-Oleum lacquer. Okay? That's it. Nothing fancy. You put the clock parts on, put the lock ring on there, put the hands on. I mean, there's nothing to it. So, now, the final project comes out looking like this. So, and if you look at the file actually is like this. So that's how I'm going to hang it. I kind of like it a little off center instead of that way. I'm going to hang it like that. So this will obviously be 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock down here. So, but yeah, I mean, it came out really great. The reason I'm doing this one, this is for my son's 22nd birthday, my oldest boy. I'm really thinking that maybe I might want to just put it up here and just go buy him something. No, I'm going to give it to him. What the hell? So the worst thing is that now I'm seeing this. I made this for him. Now I want one, obviously, for the man can. I put back here. My youngest son's going to see the video. He's going to want one. So now I see a bunch of Death Star clocks in my future. But hey, what the hell? I mean, that's what I got a laser for, right? So anyway, guys, all the paint can be found at Home Depot, Walmart. The basswood I get off Amazon. I will put that link down in the comments below. The clock mechanisms, the pack that I have has a short shaft and a long shaft. I use the long shaft on this. The short shaft was too short for 3 layers, and the long shaft was too long for 3 layers, so I put 4 layers, used the long shaft. It came out perfect. But I will put the clock mechanisms down in the comments below or in the description so you guys can all get those, or they have other clock mechanisms. You can get multiples. I just got a 2-pack. You can get 24 or whatever you want. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys, you know, any project you do, you enjoy it, you like it. I really love doing the laser stuff. I really love doing the videos for you guys. Make sure that if you have any comments, you put them down in the comments below. I always respond to the comments. Unless you're a dumbass, then I don't. But yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. We'll see you guys in the next video.